So he's going to go for 30 minutes. And after that, we'll have a session of questions and answers. Nobody's going to oppose him. It's not John against anybody. John will talk. Then if you have any questions, we'll have a 10-minute session for questions and answers. So the 30 minutes starts now. Fuel subsidy and its effects on the masses. Let me pin the comment. Fuel subsidy and its effects on the masses. Once again, if you're watching on TikTok, I'm live on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. And TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. I'm adding Facebook now. If you're watching on any of these platforms, remember Facebook, search for Daddy Freeze. Scroll down to today's video, click on the video, bottom left-hand corner, you will see how to buy stars. If you're watching on YouTube, my super chats are available. And if you're watching on TikTok, where my greatest number of friends are, TikTok people, help me meet my targets. If you're watching on TikTok, let me downgrade the target back to the usual money guns before people say, Daddy Freeze, I didn't see this bumper car. I don't know how to get you bumper car. So I'm downgrading it back to money guns. So yeah, come and buy my money guns. 30 money guns. That money gun just is sweet. I mean, they don't come out my money gun. I don't see money gun again. No, they don't say that the fees they collect this money gun too much. They will give them other things. I don't see the money gun again. No, Egba me. Make you carry me. TikTok, where's my money gun? TikTok, where's my money gun? One person bought me a shuttle one day. I don't know who it was. Man, I would remember that person every day. Inside sleep, inside reality. I don't see my money guns. All right. God bless you. So remember to double click the screen if you're watching on TikTok. Double click the screen. If you're watching on TikTok, share the video so others can get it. So John, over to you. Fuel subsidy and its effects on the masses. Let's go there.
That is phrase, yeah. This fuel subsidy thing is a long overflowed issue in Nigeria. In as much as we know that there are a lot of people who are not supposed to benefit from it, a lot of criminal gangs who benefit from it. It's at this point, I think the whole nation agrees that it should be removed, except those that don't understand why it should be removed. But I have a different opinion about its removal and the process in which it's being removed. We all know, as of last year, the Nigerian government spent about $10 billion on fuel subsidy, which is about $10 billion should be about 4.5 trillion naira on fuel subsidy.
Original women.
And this 4.4 trillion naira, the Nigerian budget as of last year was about 21 trillion, if I'm not mistaken. And out of this 21 trillion, recurrent expenditure was about 8-point-something trillion. Now, current expenditure, which is what the federal government spends on payment of salaries, pensions, gratuity, and the rest was 8-point-something trillion. And we spent 4-point-something trillion on subsidy. If you're removing the subsidy, why not you put a 50% rise in minimum wage for all across board of the civil service, so that we'll know that what you're removing, you're taking it back to the masses to cushion the effect of the hike in fuel prices in the country. Because whether we like it or not, if the fuel prices rise, the prices of everything will rise, because most of the things that we do in Nigeria is tied down to transportation. The market woman transports herself to the market to buy foodstuffs. The man who runs a grocery store depends on transportation. The interior designer depends on transportation to move products, items to his site. The man building a house depends on transportation. So, if we are removing subsidy completely, my problem is not. I agree that subsidy should be removed, but my problem is the money allotted to subsidy, what now then happens to it? And if you look at NLC, this is what NLC is saying. NLC is not saying that subsidy should not be removed. NLC is saying if you're removing subsidy, then the money that was earmarked for subsidy, the money that we've always spent on subsidy, we must see it on the ground. We must see it being used to do something. Because if Nigerians keep quiet, it's all gonna end up like Abacha's loot. We recovered 1 billion from Abacha. Where's the money? You will not see. We recovered this from Abacha's loot. Where's the money? We will not see. Are there criminal gangs benefiting from subsidy? Yes, a lot. And it's not just subsidy. There's something they also call bridging. Bridging is done by the Petroleum Equalization Fund. The Petroleum Equalization Fund is a parastatal that tries to make sure that petroleum products, that's during the subsidy regime, that the petroleum products were sold at equal prices all across the nation. For example, if products come into Lagos, petroleum products come into Lagos, you don't expect the man who is transporting to a filling station in Ajah to sell the same as a man who is transporting to a filling station in Maiduguri. Because the man who's transporting to a filling station in Maiduguri pays more for transportation. But petroleum equalization funds there's what they call Aquila. Aquila is mounted on every tanker that carries petrol, because the subsidy is only on petrol and kerosene. There's no subsidy on diesel. So now what they do is, when you load in Lagos, before you leave the depot, they flash your Aquila. It's like a chip, a computer, it's like a chip. They flash the Aquila stuff, and when you get to the destination, they flash the Aquila. So the government will pay the marketer, the person who owns the product, a certain amount for that distance covered. From Lagos to Maiduguri has its price. From Lagos to Kano has its price. From Lagos to Benin will have its price. But what people were doing with that Aquila is they cut the Aquila out of the tanker, flash it in Lagos. They call it Aquila by air. They will flash it in Lagos, fly it to Maiduguri, and flash it in Maiduguri, and claim that money from the federal government. So it's not just the subsidy there's a lot of corruption ongoing in that sector. We all agree that it should be removed. But the problem is, when you're removing it, how does it translate to the common man? As of yesterday, that's yesterday Nigerian time, NLC just finished a meeting with Femi Babajimila, right? And they reached some key points, and NLC is insisting, okay, if you're removing subsidy, then you have to revamp all the refineries to functionality. They should have to be at least 80% functional. You have to build more roads. You have to do this. You have to do. But my problem is, even if they agree to do all these things, will they do it? My take on subsidy is the federal government can maintain oil subsidy at no additional cost to the Nigerian government, and this is how I propose they could do it. Subsidize crude oil and not petroleum products. Since we already have refineries coming up, Dangote refinery has capacity to do 650,000 barrels a day. 650,000 barrels when refined. A barrel of crude oil is about 176 liters of crude oil. It's going to be 650,000 times 176, and from a barrel of crude oil you can actually get about 180 liters of petroleum products, of which out of that 180, 45% of it is gasoline, that's petrol. So Dangote refinery at 650,000 barrels can actually, in fact, Nigeria requires about 300,000 barrels to be refined to give Nigeria its daily need of petroleum products. So what can the federal government do? Nigeria has an OPEC quota. Nigeria is part of the or it's part of OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. Now, any country that is part of OPEC sells its crude only to OPEC in the OPEC market. Now, in the OPEC market, Nigeria, countries in the OPEC market are given quotas of what they can sell. Nigeria's quota as of last month was about 1.4 million barrels per day. So what that means is that even if Nigeria produces 2 million barrels, they can only sell 1.4 million barrels. 600,000 barrels they are supposed to store. That's why countries have storage facilities. So what I'm saying is Nigeria can actually ramp up their production above their OPEC quota. If Nigeria ramps up their production above their OPEC quota, that means if our OPEC quota is 1.4 million, Nigeria can actually do, let's say, 1.7 million. The additional 200,000 they produce daily, they subsidize it. If the price of crude oil in the international market is $76, they cut it in half and give it to Dangote refinery at $35, $40. Dangote will refine those products and sell back to the Nigerian people at a subsidized rate. You have eliminated all those marketers completely. And you have subsidized product, and yet you did not stop the country from making its statutory revenue from sales of crude oil. Because it's not difficult for Nigeria to ramp up their production. The major thing, what is stopping Nigeria from ramping up their production is plugging those loopholes of oil thefts. Plug those loopholes.
Now, sorry to interject. Two things. One, NLC is planning on going on strike.
They've suspended it.
Wednesday.
They've
suspended it. Okay. Now, the second thing is the same problem we are facing now with the marketers. Will we not face a similar problem if we subsidize the crude for Dangote? Will 4 years down the line not have people flying with this same thing you say they flash in Abuja? In Lagos, and go and flash again in Kano or wherever it is they go? Because Nigerians are always going to be Nigerians. We like to blame our government, but we are not better than the people in power. And we always find a plug or a loophole in whatever we're doing. What do you think about that, John?
If you subsidize crude, what you're subsidizing is not all the crude you give to Dangote. You're subsidizing 300,000. Dangote has a capacity of 650,000 barrels. You subsidize 300,000 barrels of crude to Dangote. When there's a chart where you can actually calculate how much PMS, how much AGO, how much DPK you can actually produce from 300,000 barrels. We have a record of the average consumption of Nigerians per day. You tax Dangote refinery. You can actually just not to make Dangote run a monopoly of it. You can actually do Dangote some and spread the rest of other modular refineries around. When you give him this 300,000 barrels of crude, he is guaranteeing you that he's going to send out X amount of petroleum products into the Nigerian market at this price. So the marketer who is buying from him is buying at that price and is selling at the subsidized rate. That is what we call subsidizing the upstream sector. Instead of
so we're subsidizing the downstream instead of the upstream.
Instead of the upstream.
So in your opinion, it will be better if we subsidize the upstream
of course.
The downstream. I'm sure people will have quite a few questions for you.
That's exactly what countries like Saudi Arabia and the rest of them. Because the phrase, Saudi Arabia still subsidizes products. Russia does. Iran does. Iraq does. Venezuela, petroleum products is cheapest in Venezuela. It's about petrol is about $0.004 US in Venezuela.
But Venezuela's currency is one of the most useless in the world too. I don't know how they
Nigeria's
got
currency
there.
is in the world. That's the problem. We are saying that petrol is not in the US. They buy petrol. They buy petrol for $1.2, and yet want to start selling petrol at $1.2 in Nigeria also. The average minimum wage in the United States is $1,500 a month. In Nigeria, it's $70 a month. The average minimum wage in the US is
now
$1,500.
let's talk about the effect of the subsidy on the masses, the poor masses. What do you think the effect of the removal of the subsidy as done by the government on the first day of this new government's stay in office? What's the effect on the masses, and what's the ripple effect as a consequence?
Before I go on that, before I go there, someone said it's $6.5 here. Oga, what people buy in the US is per gallon. A gallon and a liter are two different things. There are so many liters in a gallon. So if you go and check the price per liter, the price per liter of petrol in the US is an average of $1.1, $1.2, $1. What you guys buy in the US is gallon. US uses a measurement system known as gallon and not liter. So please go and verify and come back. So like I was saying, the effect of it to the masses is a blunder of the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Tinubu should not have made that announcement, because the truth is that subsidy was not removed by Tinubu. President Muhammadu Buhari removed subsidy. President Muhammadu Buhari removed subsidy because in the 2023 budget, subsidy, there was no provision for subsidy after June. Subsidy ended on June 31st. And President Muhammadu Buhari remained silent about it because he knows what the pronouncement will do to the market. And when you blame Nigerians, when people blame Nigerians, you don't blame those marketers, because the marketers, for example, let me ask you a question. Let's say you're a car dealer and you live in America. And you buy a Toyota Camry for $1,000, for example. Your cost, all your cost plus cost of shipping and clearing is $1,000. As of when you bought it, that car, $1 was 500 naira. That means your cost price in Nigeria is 500,000 naira. If you see 550,000 naira in Nigeria, you sell that car, right? But let's assume as of when that car is landing in Nigeria, the price, the exchange rate of the dollar now increases, and dollar now becomes 700 naira. Will you agree to sell that car for 550,000 naira?
Then you will lose money.
Yes, because that is not business. Because your cost price is not the cost you bought it. Your cost price is the present cost of that product as of when you're selling.
So I totally understand you. So what you're saying is you can't do business if you cannot at least break even.
Buy it back, yes.
Let's even forget about making a profit and your running costs and your overheads. At least you should be able to break even. So you're saying that it is not tenable, it's not worthy being in business if you cannot break even. But now, if the marketers cannot break even, shouldn't there have been a negotiation between the government and the marketers and also the transportation sector in such a way that the subsidy removal will be rolled out in sections over a period of, say, 6 months, so as to cushion the effects on the people? Now, I also say this all the time, and I want you to address it. Fuel subsidy helps all of us. Me, the man who has 5 cars and 2022 Benz. You, where they enter downfall. because the cost price of the fuel subsidy is why your the price of the downfall is where it is, 100 naira instead of 600 naira a drop. You, where they use generator for house, where they use petrol, I better pass my neighbor. The subsidy is helping you because you're producing electricity in your house at a subsidized rate. The vulcanizer, whose machine uses petrol, and everybody directly and indirectly are benefiting from the fuel subsidy. Here's my argument, John. When you remove the fuel subsidy and you carry the money and put in education and healthcare, people like us that are not on any government healthcare plan, and our children do not go to government schools, how do we benefit from it? How does the person who's driving, who's entering Molue benefit from it? How does the person who needs to buy 2 kegs of petrol every night for his generator benefit from it? So the one thing that we're all benefiting from, yes, it is a scam. Peter Obi said it's organized crime. Bola Tinubu said there's no budget for. We all know it is bad. But my problem with Nigerians is when you remove, because we're all enjoying fuel subsidy. All of us are enjoying. Someone said indirect benefits, yes. But you see, you cannot fund it in education and expect the illiterate market woman to. How is she going to benefit from it?
Yeah, you see, that's where the problem lies, because the illiterate market woman wants to see the benefit, how it directly impacts her, and not any other person. For instance, if they take the money that was supposed to be spent on subsidy, for instance, last year they spent about $10 billion on subsidy. That's 4.3 trillion naira on subsidy. Our recurrent expenditure is 8.5 trillion naira in the budget. That is what the Nigerian government used to pay salaries, pensions, gratuities, 8.3 billion. That means what they spent on subsidy is about 50% of the recurrent expenditure. So they can as well up that recurrent expenditure by 50%, which means everybody who works in the public sector is going to have a 50% raise in pay. So what that means is that when everybody in the public sector have a 50% raise in pay, every woman who sells something in the market will also raise her price, because all these things are intertwined. Whenever they increase minimum wage, you see the prices of things go up a little bit. So at the end of the day, everybody will benefit from it. But the problem, what the bone of contention now is, what the politicians are doing is they want to take the money off the marketers and keep for themselves. They want to take the money off the marketers and keep for themselves, because they have not given us any framework on what they want to do with these monies.
That's
This money,
exactly what I'm
they
saying.
have not given us
Because
on what they want to do with the money from the subsidy. Taking out subsidy is one thing. What is your plan for the revenue that was supposed to be spent on subsidy? That is,
we are saying the exact same
that
thing.
is what,
We all benefit directly from subsidy.
yes.
If you remove it, where are you going to put it that we even benefit from at all, let alone directly?
Next thing, they will tell you that they use it to buy guns that don't work for the military.
Or they used it to do public education.
You understand?
How does that benefit anybody?
So
the public education system that we have is one of the worst in the world.
So we agree that
You'll
people
be
are
amazed that even the market women don't send their children to government school.
of course,
Some of them
who
send their
sends
children to private schools.
Yeah. So but what, this is another angle. Let's say they take off this subsidy and say, okay, the money that we're taking out of subsidy, we're going to use it to revamp every federal government college in Nigeria. We'll bring it up to world-class standard. It's going to help everybody, because you that is freeze now, instead of sending baby freeze to that private school where they pay 1.5 million naira, you send them to Federal Government College Janiki, King's College, Lagos. A lot of us are products of federal government colleges. When federal government colleges. When I went to federal government college, when I was in federal government college in Medugui, at some point, my school fees was 250 naira.
Mm.
Then my dad could comfortably, as a civil servant, dip his hands in his pocket and pay school fees for his 5 children. But now no parent can actually do it.
we they do and we don't nearly buy.
You understand? No parent can actually do it. So if they are going to invest,
Baby free school fees is more than 500,000 naira and is in primary 3.
of course,
His school fees per term is more than 500,000 naira, and it's not going to one of there are schools of 3 million naira, 4 million naira a term in this Lagos. So when you are living in Lekki and your child goes to a 500,000, 600,000 naira a term school, don't think you are rich. Those of you who, some of you here watching from Benin and from other parts of the world, you say, oh wow, that the fees is, our school is average. No, the poorest school on the island,
very average, very
average.
Very
the poorest school on the island is about 350K.
What's the name of this school? Is that VGC? Chrisland, right?
Yes.
Chrisland is close to 1 million now.
Yes, now about 700K.
It's
primary school.
Close to 1 million.
So when you hear that, your child is paying 600,000, 650, thereabout, that's what it is about. It's not a rich man's school. It's average on the island. And now imagine secondary school. Now imagine all the kids that go to private universities. You will be amazed how much we spend to educate our children. So if the government can subsidize the education, give Unilag, lift it up to its former glory, University of Ibadan, lift them up to their former glory. But you see, now I now have a problem, and in this way, the effect on the poor is too indirect. You see, if government gave us 24 hours subsidized light, then the organizer gets light, the hairdresser gets light, the market woman gets light, it goes round.
Hold on.
When you do this university, there's some people like my mother-in-law who is a pensioner. How does cheap education affect her? It will be over a period. So here's what I'm going to suggest for the poor masses. Yes, education should be subsidized. Electricity should be sorted out within 1 year out of the fuel subsidy money, and there should be food banks for the poor where they can get food at affordable prices.
This is what they talk. You don't go walk. You don't go walk.
I don't want, you see, it's going to favor me. It's going to favor you.
As per electricity.
But that woman where they sell tomato for market, how I want to take favor of?
Is that as per electricity? I foresee Lagos having constant electricity very, very soon. Very, very soon. Because, you know, President Muhammadu Buhari signed a bill that now permits states to generate their own electricity. And they don't necessarily have to send it to the national grid again. Because before, even if you generate more, it's more than a certain, I think 1 megawatt or something. I can't remember from the back of my head. If it's more than 1 megawatt, it has to be pumped into the national grid. Then from the national grid, Ogbomoso, National Control Center, will now decide who to give and who not to give with the power that you're generating in Lagos or the power you're generating in River State. They could decide to give it to Zamfara. So, but now President Muhammadu Buhari has signed a new bill that states can generate their power and transmit themselves. And this Dangote refinery is not just a refinery and a petrochemical plant. It's also a power generating station. Dangote refinery can generate about, I think, 12 to 13, 14 thousand megawatts of electricity. And that is more than what Nigeria is generating entirely right now. So with that, if optimized properly, Lagos could have steady electricity. But they're going to pay for it because Dangote is not going to give it to them for free. Power is one thing that is going to be very difficult for you to subsidize. Because if you subsidize power, if you make that mistake The corruption in petrol is small. It's small.
Word.
It's small because power generation, power is divided into generation, transmission, and distribution. 3 different companies. Those that generate are different from those that transmit and are different from those that distribute. There will be corruption in these 3 stages, and you won't be able to control it. So power is not something you want to subsidize. But the only thing about power is it will be better to have other players so that the forces of demand and supply can bring down the prices.
Absolutely. All right, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, remember to send the super chats and the super stickers if you're watching on YouTube and you're enjoying the live. If you're watching on TikTok, double click the screen, guys. Double click the screen. And don't forget, help me meet my target. I want 50 money guns. On Instagram, on Facebook, search for Daddy Freeze. Scroll down to today's video. Bottom left-hand corner, you will see how to buy my stars. TikTok people, double click the screen, double click. Oh yeah, double click the screen on TikTok. Share the video. Follow my number 1 gifter. Follow my number 2 gifter. Follow my number 3 gifter. Special shout out for our number 1, number 2, and number 3 gifter, and whoever buys my money guns. Let's make some noise for these people. And now, John, what are your parting words before I start bringing people who ask you questions?
My parting words is that Nigerians should be on the lookout. The fight for Nigeria is no longer for anybody, it's for all of us. This is what I have to say. Nigerians should hold their reps responsible. Very responsible. If you have to start writing letters, start writing letters. Because the reason why these guys do what they're doing is because they feel we do not care. It's not everything that is the fault of the presidency. The presidency is an executive arm of government that should be checkmated, that should be checked by the legislative arm of government. And that legislative arm of government is me and you. That legislative arm of government is me and you. That's why we have 360 federal constituencies in Nigeria. I am sure that out of these 529 people watching this, if you ask them what federal constituency they belong to, either by origin or by state, that Freezer can bet you that 80% of them do not know. But you want a better Nigeria. How will you have a better Nigeria when the man you sent to represent you, when the man you sent to be your mouthpiece, you don't even know him, not to talk of holding him accountable? So what I'm saying is, Nigerians should, this subsidy should let's use it let's use it and put them to test. Nigerians should want to know what every penny that was earmarked for this subsidy, that was saved by not paying this subsidy, was used for. If they have to give us roads, they should give us roads. If they have to revamp our schools, they should revamp our schools. Because, Daddy Freeze, honestly, without the government being actively involved in education, we can never have a reasonable education. Even this 500,000 naira school you send your son to, Daddy Freeze, I bet you that the teachers that are there don't earn more than 200,000 naira. And to whom much is given, much is expected. My maths teacher, when I was in Federal Government College, Maiduguri, became a director in the Federal Ministry of Education. Those teachers in Federal Government Colleges have a career path. They know that if they do well, if they put in their best, someday they will become a director in the Federal Ministry of Education. So you see them putting their best. They want to climb. They want to rise. They're doing their best. But a teacher that you're paying 100,000 naira, he knows that he can never be the director of the school. He knows he can never be principal. Principal could be director, friend, or brother. So I will teach them what I want to teach them. So if the federal government does not actively, I'm not even talking about tertiary education, because if everybody in Nigeria is educated to secondary school level, we won't be where we are today. Truth is that even Aristotle, the first person who defined democracy, was clear that for democracy to work, at least 60% to 70% of the population must be educated. And what he meant by that education is that they must know their rights, their civic rights. So if Nigeria cannot get there, let's go back to the military, because this is a waste of time. Because I remember the last time I went for a town hall meeting, the guy representing my constituency, Navy South, Navy North, and Equisigo Federal Constituency, Honorable Chris Azubogu, called for a town hall meeting during Christmas. When I got there, I saw he brought sewing machine, rice, they shared rice in small buckets, and he dropped it. And he came, talked. When he was done talking, he said that let's move to the main agenda of the day, that this is what he came with, blah blah blah. And I stood up and told him, Chris, I don't understand. What do you mean by this the main agenda of the day? You came for a town hall meeting. A town hall meeting is you tell us what you went there to do. We asked you these ones that we sent you there to do. What have you done about it? A town hall meeting is meant to be interactive. People that were there were telling me, oh, these people that went to school, oh, keep quiet. Let's share this thing and go. That is the problem. If we cannot be on the same scale, let's go back to the military, because this is a waste of time. This is absolutely a waste of time. Because we need to education. Any government that doesn't focus on education one is not ready to liberate its people. Because if you educate people, they will know their rights. If you educate people, you will take them off the streets. And so that is why I am more focused on federal government colleges, because those schools actually helped a lot. Without those schools, some of us will not go to school. How much my papa's salary now? We can come on 500,000, pay school fees for 5 children. If you don't let us to the market to go and be trading. So let's try and hold these people accountable. Let's try. It's our right to hold them accountable. It's our right to write just between January and now, I've written Chris Azubogu with 3 letters. I've written him 3 letters. Let's try and hold these people accountable. If everybody is writing him, everybody is writing them, they will be on their toes. But when you let me, Daddy Freeze, do you know why the National Assembly don't sit on Thursdays and Fridays? They are mandated by law to sit only on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. On Thursdays and Fridays, they have an allowance to go back to their constituency, meet with people of their constituency, ask them what their problem is, and come back to the house on Monday and deliberate to the house. But all of them, they're icon on Thursday and Friday with girls with they fly from all over the world.
Hey, those girls, but they tell them waiting the happen for constituency now.
Problem. That's a problem. And not until we hold them accountable. If we know all these things, we'll be telling them, Chris, we don't fix that home meeting for you on Monday. Do they come? We don't fix that home meeting for you on Monday. Do they come? So if these things need to be, it needs to be an interactive section. They're not there on their own. You have, every constituency has the power to recall its member. By the time 2 people are recalled, the rest will sit up. The rest will sit up. So I really believe that the subsidy, removing the subsidy is a good approach. But my problem is, what do you then do after removing the subsidy? What do you then do? I understand President Muhammadu Buhari did. I'm not APC. I am a proud supporter of His Excellency. I even want to call him President P2B. But if I see the good things that President Muhammadu Buhari did, I will also mention he did well by privatizing the pipelines. The pipelines in Nigeria are now privately owned. Not crude pipeline, but product pipelines. That's PPMC. So what that means is that those privately owned pipelines will at least function optimally. So if we can have good refineries that are refining, then they can actually start pumping products to the depot in Maiduguri, the depot in Kaduna, the depot in Bauchi, the depot in Enugu, so that these things can flow. We are not supposed to be driving trucks all around Nigeria to transport petroleum products. Those trucks are just meant for depot to filling stations, not from Lagos all over the world. And if that is done, you see a huge decongestion of Lagos. Because all those tankers you see in Apapa queuing up to go and pick up products from Apapa will no longer be in Apapa. They'll be in depots in their separate states. There are a lot of things that we can do if we hold, these people can do if we hold them properly accountable. And this subsidy, everybody's eye should be on the subsidy, because that money is half of what they use in paying civil servants. It is a lot of money. 4.3 trillion naira is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So let's, for me, it's a good thing, but I still feel that certain things should have been done before the subsidy is completely removed. The president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, fumbled, yes. That announcement was supposed to come on the 30th of June. That announcement, maybe he thought that they told him to make the announcement on the 30th of June. That announcement was supposed to come on the 30th of June, so that it will not change market prices in June. You get so, but that notwithstanding, something that will happen in July and that happened in June is still the same thing. So
it was going to happen anyway.
It's still going to happen. Yeah, it's still going to happen. Let's focus on the problems and not on marketers. It's not the marketers' fault at all. Because if I buy petrol at even 100 naira, and as of when it gets to my filling station, you told me that the price has increased to 700. I'll sell for 700 because I will need to sell for 700 so that I can go buy back that petrol I bought. That's the continuity of my money. Because if I sell at that 100, I won't be able to buy the quantity I normally buy anymore. Yes, that's where I do not fault the marketers at all. It's not their fault. They have the right to sell at the price, at the prevailing market price. But let's all put an eye on this subsidy, because honestly, if we remain Nigerians as we've always been, you realize that all these monies earmarked for subsidy will go into individual pockets.
And that is what I have a problem with. Anyway, let us open up the mics or the phone lines so we can get at least one or two contributions. What are your thoughts? Biola is here. I'm going to bring Biola and I'm going to bring Femi Aderibigbe. Femi, is it Femi Aderogba or Aderibigbe? Aderogba. Okay. So I'm bringing Femi Aderogba and Biola. So over to you guys. What are your thoughts? John is going to answer your questions. Biola, how are you doing? While we're waiting for them to come on, nobody has bought my money guns on TikTok today. Well, they follow me fight. If we carry Odosho matter, begin talk now. Everywhere go full for money gun. Everywhere go full for super chat. TikTok people just they look me like this. Say they don't want to waste their money, so that the day where I bring better gist, they go buy my star. Una wicked. Facebook people, una know they try at all. Okay, somebody sent me 99 stars on Facebook. Wow, this has been a while. Chukudi Alex Okonkwo, thank you. So once again, Biola, what are your thoughts?
I don't think she knows she's on. No.
She knows. Femi Aderogba is unable to join. Biola, what are your thoughts? Let me see if I can invite somebody else. Biola.
Abi, she mute.
Biola, you are muted. We can't hear you. While we're waiting for Biola, guys, don't forget to go to Facebook, search for Daddy Freeze, scroll down to today's video, and you will see how to buy my stars. Hey, Diligence Healthcare sent me $1. I wasn't even expecting anything today, so I appreciate you so much. Oh, Biola, you're back inside your car.
Sorry, yeah, I was trying to get into my car. that Instagram people will be very upset. Hi, Daddy Freeze. Hi, John.
Hello, gorgeous. How are you doing? We've missed you.
Good, thank you. You've missed me. Daddy Freeze now. Why are you talking like this?
No, I'm being
Your Instagram
serious.
people don't like me.
Hey, somebody has sent me money gone. Papi Prof, thank you so much. One money gone. Oh yeah. Let me see 20. Sharp. Papi Prof, love you, bro. So, what are your thoughts?
I think somewhere you answered my question, but I'll just ask it again. So, John, the question I was asking on the comment was, with the removal of the fuel subsidy, what plans did they have or do they have for the aftermath of the removal? Because at the end of the day, it's the masses, the poor masses, that will actually suffer this removal. So far, I know. The rich will always be rich, and they can afford anything as long as Nigeria is concerned, or the situation in Nigeria is concerned. But the poor people, the market woman, the market man, the suya guy, whoever, how will he be able to afford this hiking for price? If I'm making sense, yeah.
They didn't have any plan. Honestly, they didn't have any plan. From the meetings NLC have had with them, it was obvious that they didn't have any plan. Because if they had a plan, NLC shouldn't be the ones telling them, okay, you have to revamp the refineries, you have to invest in education, you have to invest in roads. We want to see those investments separately. Yes, okay, 4.3 trillion, right? That's what you guys spend on subsidy. Okay, we want to see the investments at this 4.2 trillion. That's what NLC is asking for. We want to see what you guys will do with. Forget about the budget. See that money, that 4.3 trillion. We want to see what you people want to do with it. If not, we'll embark on a nationwide strike. So apparently they didn't have a plan, because if they had a plan, as they are asking them these questions, they'll be bringing it out. They didn't have a plan.
But don't you think? Sorry to interrupt you. Don't you think that it was too soon to actually what's the word again? Take off the subsidy? Don't you think it was too soon? Do you think maybe an announcement or something would have been made to that effect?
The subsidy, was it too soon? I will say no, because it wasn't President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that took it out. It was Buhari that took it.
There was no budget for it.
From the 2023 budget, this budget for subsidy ended June 30th. Sorry, June has 30 days, June 30th. So from July 31st, subsidy was out from 2023 budget. But Tinubu shouldn't have pronounced it. He would have waited till 30th of June to make that pronouncement. So that it would take.
That's my point.
But maybe they told him to pronounce it on the 30th of June. He thought they told him to pronounce it on the 30th of April, the 30th of May. You know, he conflicts dates. He's not very sure of dates from what I've seen in the past. So
no yap our president too. It's a town hall.
So he made the pronouncement too early, and this is the effect. So and if you're a marketer, let's be realistic now. Let's say you sell clothes, and there's this top you normally buy for 100 naira, and you sell that top for 150 naira in your shop, and the woman that sells the top calls you and tells you, "Madam, this top, the price don't change, you, and they sell them now 300 naira. Will you still sell the ones you have for 150?
Is that question directed to me?
Yes.
What's your question? Would I inflate the price or deflate?
That's not inflation of price. Let's say you sell a particular shirt for 150, and you buy that shirt for 100 naira from one woman in the market, and you still have like 10 in stock, and the woman calls you on a certain day and tells you that shirt I sell for 100 naira, I no longer sell it for 100 naira, I now sell it for 300 naira. The ones in your stock.
The ones I have, I'll sell them for the price I got. I mean, for whatever price I've been selling them for. So it's the new product I will actually inflate the prices on.
Madam, if you do that, you're not a businesswoman. If you continue like that,
no, then now we're talking about greed. Because
no, madam, that's not greed. Madam, let me explain. Let me explain to you.
No. Now we're talking about, if we're talking about greed, then I will say, oh, I'll have to inflate the prices of all the old stuff I've got.
Madam, it's not greed. Let me explain
it's greed.
Forget
apart from being a businesswoman.
From the business perspective.
Okay.
From the business perspective, the reason why you're in business is to be able to rebuy, to resell, not to sell. The reason why you're in business is to make sure you're able to buy that product again, not to sell. You're in business to make sure you're able to buy that product again. That is the sustainability of your business.
Yeah, but now if we have to if we have to talk about the fuel subsidy and the negative impact it's going to have, this is where the greed comes in, because those people who sell, who must have hoarded the fuel.
The marketers.
Wait, give me a second. Who must have hoarded the fuel? Then they'll inflate the prices on whatever
they did not hoard the fuel. Your president came up and said, I made an announcement that there is no more fuel subsidy. Me and them, every marketer in the world knows that the price of petrol is about $1 some cents. So there's no way 200 naira will buy a petrol. Will buy a liter of petrol. So if there is no more subsidy, conventionally it tells them that the price of petrol is about 600 naira. Going by the current CBN rates, 500, 600 naira. So what they are going to do is to sell at that price so that they'll be able to restock. If they sell at 200 naira, if they were used to buying one tanker, they will have to buy half.
But now we're talking about greed, because the same thing happened
greed,
during
madam. That is no greed.
Give me a moment. The same thing happened during the COVID and the pandemic.
Madam, that is no
people
greed.
That had hold on. People that had the mask and sanitizers and stuff, what did they do? Say, for instance, you would buy mask for 500 naira or maybe 1,000 naira. When they heard about the importance of masks and the importance of sanitizers, they then inflated the price of the old stock they had. That is greed. And if they do that also with fuel, that is greed. Why not you sell? Forget from a business point of view now. Why not you just sell the old stock you have for a particular price, and then when you get the new stock, you can inflate the price on the new stock. That is my own.
Madam, there are two different things. Charity and business are two different things. If you're running a charity,
it's not charity.
No, madam,
it's charity.
Charity. What you're running is a charity.
No, it's not charity.
It is a charity.
Greed. It's greed, because in the West, or in some countries in the West, actually told me that is the old stock of, for instance, if they're having issues with tomato supply. Actually told me that is the old stock of tomatoes they are going to they will inflate the prices on as compared
there is
to
nothing like
price.
Old stock in business. Get it right. There's nothing like old
Madam,
there's nothing like old stock in business.
No,
there's nothing like old stock.
From a business point of no, I know you're talking from a business perspective, but I'm not talking about greed.
Madam, there is nothing. Take off your emotions.
Emotions.
These people are not
emotions.
These men.
If you apply it, if this is the way Nigerians too will do it, then we talk about the greed in Nigeria. Forget emotions now. Forget business. Greed. I'm just saying why. No, it's a question.
Madam.
Hold on.
Okay, madam.
Why would you inflate the prices?
Madam, let me ask you.
You already had. That's just a simple question.
All right, let me ask you. All right, let him answer. John answer, and then let's hand over to Femi. Because you know, say me, I don't drink, so my power no plenty today.
I'll end this with this. You live in the UK or the US, I know, all right? If a tanker comes in and drops petroleum product in a filling station, and the next day the price of petroleum products increase, that filling station will sell at the new price anywhere in the world. So if you're saying it's greed, then the whole world is greedy. The whole world is greedy. From Jericho to America to Canada, we are all greedy. Business has nothing to do with greed. Business.
I still disagree, though, but it's okay.
Madam, you can go and make your verification and find out.
I mean,
Okay.
I still disagree, but it's okay. I
Okay.
accept
Good
defeat.
morning. Good morning, everyone. Actually, how are we doing? Well, before I pass my comment, I think I have a few questions for John because it seems to be a guest speaker and this is a wonderful topic of subsidy removal. So I wouldn't want to interrupt him or argue his point. But the first thing I want to ask is, can you actually relate the place of corruption in what's it called, in effecting change in Nigeria? For instance, now, can you try to relate the place of impact of corruption on achieving the goals of subsidy? Is there a way you can relate that together?
Impact of corruption on achieving the goals of subsidy. You mean how corrupt? Can you break that English down?
Okay. The question is, let me put it this way, that how can we, do we think subsidy, the goal of subsidy removal is attainable with the current level of corruption in Nigeria?
No, it's not. That was exactly what I was saying. That the 4.3 trillion that is earmarked that Nigeria normally spends on subsidy, at the end of the day, will not get into the hands of the marketers, but will get into the pocket of politicians. At the end of the day.
So that automatically means that even if they are removing subsidy, the fund the government actually wants to save is still likely going to go back to the masses, to the corrupt public officials. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So then, if that is actually the case, do you think this particular goal or this particular agenda should be suspended for a while, or it should just be a permanent policy? Like they remove subsidy now. Should it be suspended for a while, or should it just like, oh, we've done it, let's just do it forever?
If you ask me, I will prefer the route NLC is going. Don't suspend it. Continue with it. But you see that 4.3 trillion naira, you must tell us, you must send us a list of every project it's going to go into.
Okay. Now, the next question is, you're talking about transparency, right?
Yes.
Transparency.
Yes.
Okay. The question now is that if you're talking about inflation, I am so sure that if the federal government would actually have to increase the salary of the workers, it cannot be like 200%, right?
No, but 50% is enough.
50% is not enough.
50%.
Because 50% is not enough.
50%.
At least 100%.
Huh?
At least 100%, in my opinion.
50% is enough.
Yeah, it has to get 100%. If it's under 100%, it's not enough.
If they increase it to 100%, they don't have fundings for it. This is my mathematics. Recurrent expenditure in the 2023 budget was 8.4 trillion.
Okay.
Me and you know what recurrent expenditure is. It's what you use to pay gratuity and all that for just salaries, yeah? Now, what you spend subsidy, 4.3 trillion, which is half of recurrent expenditure. So the best they can do is to just convert that 4.3 trillion, add it on recurrent expenditure. What that gives is just a 50% markup. Do you understand? Do you understand the mathematics? What that gives is just a 50% market. If they make it 100%, where are they going to get an additional 4.3 trillion to spend that?
Okay.
John, I have a
question.
So
I'm just being logical.
John, I have a
so
question.
You're saying that, okay. You can ask your question.
Okay. John, are you in support of the subsidy removal?
Yes, I'm in support of the subsidy removal, but what I'm not in support of is what they will do with the funds.
Okay, the second question I have
from the subsidy
is, the second question I have is, when are Nigerians expected to see the positive impact of the subsidy removal?
10 years time.
The truth is that we might never see it. If we allow it.
No, we may see it. We may see it, but it's just like it's going to take time.
We might never see it if we allow them still pocket that 4.3 trillion. That 4.3 trillion, that was, in fact, it would be worse even if we allow them, because the truth is that even when it was going to the hands of the marketers, out of that 4.3 trillion that is being paid as subsidy, marketers will chop like 1.3 trillion or chop like 2 trillion. Still, because they still subsidize some. When me and you, they buy for filling station. But the problem is that with this one, that money, if we don't pay attention to details, that money will go to houses in Dubai, houses in the US, houses in Canada, houses all across the world for politicians, their families.
John, don't you think that the moves of the NLC leaders and the NLC member is political in nature? Because Peter Obi, you know the NLC, the agenda and the idea of NLC actually synchronized with that of Peter Obi. They were obedient in that last election. And they were there when Peter Obi was saying that he's going to remove subsidy immediately.
Yes.
And they never react to that.
No.
But why is it now that someone, he also said, which is Ashwaju also said that, oh, if whether you protest or you don't protest, I will remove subsidy. You know, these are two statements
remember,
showing urgency.
Remember that when His Excellency Peter Obi, before he released his manifesto, his official manifesto, he consulted with NLC, which is the right thing for every presidential candidate to do. Speak with the people. He consulted with NLC. And those conversations were done. Peter Obi, in his manifesto, told them what he will do with every penny saved from the...
Let me come in there. Let me ask you this question. When was the 2023 budget implemented? When was it implemented?
Was it February or so?
No, it was toward the end of the year. Sometimes around August, September. Now, and Ashwaju came to make the, to make announcement of what was done in September. So that means that the subsidy has actually been removed. Even why why Peter Obi is actually consulting with the NLC leaders and the member. So this automatically translates to the fact that even if Peter Obi has been the president, he will also be the one making the announcement.
Yes, he will be the one making the announcement, but
so that means that he will not have wait. That means that he is not going to have plans in place to actually absorb the shock effect of the subsidy removal.
Listen. If Peter Obi was the president, that announcement would have come differently. Peter Obi would have told them, we are taking our subsidy. This is what we are going to save from taking our subsidy. This is where it's going to go to. This is where it's going to go to. This is what we're going to use it for. Peter Obi would even go to, let me land, please. Peter Obi would even go to the extent of publishing the savings from subsidy, where each penny will go to on all the national dailies, for every Nigerian to see it. If that was done, you will see tension would have died down. Okay, if they won't use and build roads for us, no problem. Okay, if they won't use and revive federal government colleges for us, no problem. Yes.
Well, I disagree actually, because the reason why I disagree is this: once a budget has been implemented, that budget has to be followed for that year. That means that if the subsidy is removed, the first thing that will first happen is still that this current price hike in oil price we're having now, we will also experience it instantly. So there is no way Peter Obi can as well effect a new policy of salary increase without passing through the Senate and the legislative arm.
About salary increase, Femi, you know how a budget works. In a budget, you have budget surplus and budget deficit. Our budget for 2022 was about 21 trillion. Out of that 21 trillion, we had a deficit of 10 trillion.
But you know, if I actually going to give a scorecard for who answered that question best, without being political here, just being objective, not political. I'm still saying that statement is still article. And this is my reason. They asked 3 people different questions. Look at the first answer of Ashwaju. The answer of Ashwaju. Ashwaju said, whether people like it or not, he's going to remove subsidy. Whether they protest or not, he's going to remove subsidy. And he said subsidy is a scam. They asked Peter Obi. Peter Obi said subsidy is an organized crime. Immediately he becomes the president, he will ensure that subsidy is removed immediately. When they asked Atiku this question, he said subsidy removal will be in stages, just like he has been doing it. And if it must be in stages, the first thing he has to do is to have to consult the NLC leader and the other public, what's it called, public stakeholders, the stakeholders, before even proceeding with subsidy removal. You know, one shows the respect for democracy.
But the difference between him and Peter Obi is that Peter Obi consulted the same NLC.
No,
issue.
This is what I'm telling you. This is what I'm telling you. Consultation before governance. Wait, consultation before governance is a scam.
There's nothing you tell me now. I am trying to explain the budget to you. We have budget surplus and budget deficit. We have a deficit of 10 trillion in the budget. So if Peter Obi can actually tell us that, okay, fine, since we have a budget deficit of 10 trillion and we have saved this X amount from not paying subsidy, and this X amount goes to deficit, that means at the end of the day, we might, from other revenue generators, we might actually have a surplus. Those surpluses shall go into education, into good roads. Let's see, gone are the days where Nigerians just sit back and just let these people run the country. We want to see figures. We want to see figures. I want to see contracts being awarded and see the figures on that contract so that I can go and verify the cost of that contract and come back and say that no, this contract should not be awarded at this price. We want to see a working
actually
system.
All right,
that is
all
the
right.
transparency.
But John,
sorry, we're running out of time.
When do we
Hold on. We're running out of time, so everybody gets 2 minutes to say their parting notes, starting with the guests, and then John would now respond. So parting notes, before I even announce that, a very special thank you to Diligence Healthcare on YouTube. Thank you so much, Diligence Healthcare. She sent me $11. Big shout out to my Facebook family, Adiremi Enamel Lawan. Sent me 530 stars on Facebook. Thank you. Appreciate you. And on TikTok, Papi Prof sent me 2 money guns, while Edo's Papa sent me 1 money gun. Follow my top gifters if you're watching on TikTok. Double click the screen, tap the screen, connect with one another. Follow my number 1 gifter, my number 2 gifter, my number 3 gifter. Special shout out to you guys on TikTok. Remember, I'm looking for 50 money guns. Let me see those money guns rock. Pow, 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 pow. All right. So over to you, Biola, your final thoughts.
Okay. John, I've heard all you said. I love your analysis. I love your knowledge. Everything sounds really good. I'm not very vast with politics, but it's just quite interesting hearing about the subsidy and all that has been going on behind the scenes. But then I have a question for you, John. How or when do Nigerians hold this the president? I don't know, the president. When would they hold them accountable if they don't see positivity from this outcome?
You can start holding them accountable now by holding your House of Reps members accountable. If you hold your House of Reps members accountable, those things you want the federal government to do, those things you want them to do, put them on a to-do list and send to your House of Reps members. Mobilize yourselves. Have a constituency WhatsApp group. Like my constituency now have a constituency WhatsApp group. Navy South, Navy North, and Equisico Federal Constituency. We have a constituency WhatsApp group. We talk all the time on the constituency WhatsApp group. So now what we want to invite our rep into that WhatsApp group. We want to make it easier for him. He doesn't have to travel from Abuja to the east every weekend. We would delegate 1 person from each community in those 3 local governments They will have a private WhatsApp group with him. They'll be discussing with him. We will be telling them what we want. They'll be telling him what we want. And if he does not do it, we will recall him back. No cap. It is no longer business as usual for us. And this is what I expect everybody to do.
For the sake of Nigerians listening, how soon can they start up this this follow-up? Okay, we are not hearing anything from you guys from the House of Rep or wherever. How soon do you expect, or do you want Nigerians to follow up their leaders and ensure that they do the things right? This is the last question.
If you write a letter to your house, if for instance, my constituency is 3 local governments. If those 3 local governments get enough signatories from every youth leader of all the communities in those 3 local governments and send that letter out to the House of Reps member.
Well, if I was part comment, I would say that I want every Nigerian at home and abroad to know that the Nigerian political environment is super complex. It cannot be simplified, using social media concept. Because number one, the real voters in Nigeria are the masses, the uneducated masses, people that don't even go to school but are very poor, people that can actually be manipulated. These are the set of people
what you guys thought that last election.
No, it happened eventually. Who won? Tinubu won. Wait, it happened. It happened eventually.
Tell me, whenever people say this, I say that this is what the politicians used to deceive us. You cannot tell me that the real voters are in the villages when the urban areas have more population. How many people are in the...
Can I buttress my point?
Because you guys could not...
All right, we're rounding off. So, Femi, this is within your 2 minutes. You have 1 minute left.
There was no...
Femi, you have 1 minute left.
Okay, John, let me round up. Like I said, the Nigerian political environment is super complex. If you want to effect change, know how to make your way around it and to make your contribution. And regarding the subsidy removal, I will say that it's actually a good move, but in the wrong time. Why? Because the macroeconomic indicators are all red and not green. And this can actually have a drastic effect on citizens. But I will say that Nigerians should know now that there is inflation in the country. The best way to handle this situation is not to come on social media to actually rant or to complain. It's rather to step up your game. If you are running a business now, try to diversify your source of income so that you can have double business. If you are doing one job right now, look for a way that you can actually have another source of income. This is the only way that we can actually solve the issues of inflation coming through the subsidy removal. That would be my submission.
So Nigerians, let's allow the politicians pocket the money and let's go and do 2 jobs and survive. That's what you just told Nigerians.
No! That is please understand better.
John, your 2 minutes as you officially round off.
Femi, my 2 minutes, I'm going to use it on you. What you actually just told Nigerians that let's allow the government pocket this 4 point something trillion naira. When they finish pocketing it, let's go and be doing 2 jobs and be doing keke, diversify our source of income and survive. There's nothing we can do about it. Femi, I need you to stop listening to these politicians that you're listening to, because they drive your mind towards the direction of take your eyes off us and focus on something else. Let's loot the money. It's no longer going to be business as usual. That was why we wanted an OB, and that is why up to tomorrow I still want an OB. I don't care what
John is. Try to come to Nigeria for tourism,
bro.
Political tourism.
I think what John is trying to say is we should learn to hold our leaders responsible and accountable. I think that's the long and short of this whole story. My last word is, Daddy Freeze, thank you for this wonderful life. John, you spoke really well. I learned a lot. Although
Viola network don't log out too.
King of England don't disconnect a mast.
I swear. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Some people will come and say, Daddy Freeze, you only talk about women and pregnancy and single mothers and all those things. We also have some intellectual conversations that are relevant to the Nigerian population from time to time. And I must thank John. My knowledge of politics is limited. I can grapple around and engage in a conversation, but to hold an audience this long I need to give that to John. Also, thank you to Femi Adirogba. Femi, thank you so much. You've supported us from the beginning, and this is one of your power areas, politics. It's just that in the last thing you said, I agree with John. So let them steal the money while we get 5 jobs. I think I'm with John on that one. We need to hold these people accountable.